I appreciate y'all bearing with us here. All right. So, hey everybody, how's it going? Is it working now? All right, I'm gonna just go for it. If it's not working, well then we'll just apologize to later. It's fine. Um, Let me ask you guys all something. When do you feel the most tired? Anybody want to? In the morning when you just wake up? At school? When you get less sleep than normal? When you've been moving for 3 days in a row? Sorry, that was targeted. What about you? Like right after? How many of you get tired right after school ends? How many of you get tired like right after that sports practice? You're like, okay, I'm done with the sports. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. Right? How many of you are tired? Let me ask you real talk here. Can y'all be real with me? How many of y'all are tired after you spent 2 hours doom scrolling on your phone? Or your tablet or whatever. You've been playing on your phone, video games on your phone for 3 hours, your tablet, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. You've been playing on your Switch. It's all the same, right? Like, what about when like your friends are all up in drama and you're just like, too much drama. I'm done with this. Let me check out. Right? Right. Like when your friends are throwing you into the middle of the drama and they're trying to get you pulled in, you get tired about that? I do. So let me ask this. What if the question is not that you're trying to do too much, right? Because we're all busy, right? We all have a lot to do. But sometimes I look at people who accomplish a lot of things. I met a guy the other day. He is in college right now. He's getting straight A's. He is the president of one of the largest college campus chapters in Colorado. And you could argue that his college campus is competing with all the other college campuses across the state. He also is starting a business. He also has done, I met him because he was traveling and guest speaking. So he's attending school up in Fort Collins, but he traveled down to Longmont to come do a speech at an event. And so that's where I got to meet him. And he's got a girlfriend. Can you say this guy's doing a lot? You're like, how many of you would be like, he's doing more than me? If we're really talking, he's doing more than almost everybody in the room, right? And it's like, we're doing a lot. How is he able to do all that? We look at the story of Paul and the things he did. I mean, this guy preached city after city. He got beaten every city he went to, and he had his own business making tents. You're like, how does this guy find the time? Right? Jesus. What did Jesus do? Right? It says in the book of John, I should have put this verse in there. I didn't. I apologize. But in the book of John, it says, if we were to write down all the things that Jesus did in 3.5 years, the books of the earth would not be able to contain them. That's a lot of things, right? So could we argue that Jesus was busier than all of us? I would. I would argue. But do you think he was in a hurry? Do you think he was ever rushed? Do you think he was ever panicked? So maybe rest is not being busy. Maybe rest is looking different than that. Maybe rest is being connected to God, right? So some people will say like rest is, well, you got to get some sleep. How many of you know that's an important part of rest? Sleeping. It's important. Those of you who don't have your hands up, go to sleep on time tonight. You know, I when I worked at Costco, I would wake up at 4 a.m. every morning. No, I'd have to be at work at 4 a.m. So I had to wake up really early in the morning. No, I stocked in Costco. I was a Costco stalker. Before I came to Colorado, I was one of those people who did direct TV. But that's a different story. We're not going to talk about that. But when I worked at Costco, I woke up at like 3:30 in the morning to get to work on time. Yeah, 5 days a week. Yeah. Now, here's the thing I always told new people when they came in on my shift. I said, "Here, let me tell you a secret. It's really not hard to wake up early in the morning if you go to bed on time. Usually 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Yeah. If you go to bed on time, it's not hard to wake up. See? So it can be hard to wake up, right? Anyway, see, girl, stop telling on yourself. All right. Rest is not just sleep. It's not doing nothing. It's not being lazy. It's being intentional with our rest. I always tell people if what you do is mental, then your rest should be physical. And if what you do is physical, then your rest should be mental. Does that make sense? That probably doesn't make sense. Let me explain it this way. You guys, how many of you find school challenging? Is school somewhat challenging at all? If school is somewhat challenging, then what you need to do in order to rest would be encourage is to get outside, go do something physical, get moving because your body doesn't get that when you're at school. In the inverse, maybe you're one of those people who move a lot. Yes, sir. If you do both, yeah. So here's one way I always tell people to rest: spend time with God because you're resting your mind, your soul, you're resting your body, but are you resting your spirit? And I think the number one thing all of us forget is to rest our spirit. See, laziness says I'm going to avoid responsibility, but that's not rest, right? Laziness can include when I sit down on the couch and I just start doom scrolling for 45 minutes. And then my wife's like, "Can you help me with the kids?" And I'm like, "Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I just got completely distracted," right? That wasn't very restful of me, was it? I was just instead hiding and distracting myself. All right. You see, God is very intentional about rest. In fact, in one of the most known, oh, that was not the verse I wanted. Anyway, in one of the most known Psalms in the Bible, it's Psalm 23, and it starts off this way. It says, "The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures, and he leads me beside still waters." The next verse, I don't know if it's in there. Yeah, he restores my soul. Right? He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Right? This is a powerful psalm. If you're looking for something to memorize, go memorize Psalm 23. It's 6 verses. It's really easy. It's fantastic and great. But the first half of this psalm is all about rest. He leads me. He restores my soul. He shows me green pastures and leads me beside still waters. He puts me in a place to be in rest. That's why it's so important to walk with Jesus. This whole series is about walking with Jesus, footsteps of Jesus, going with him, because the Christian life is all about doing Christianity with Jesus, right? Now, God doesn't just suggest it. He doesn't just say, it's probably a good idea. It says he leads you into rest because he knows that none of you were designed to live at a consistent pace. This morning, I actually just added this into my sermon. Pastor Donnie was talking and he shared Psalm 91. If you know anything about Pastor Donnie or senior pastor, his favorite passage in the Bible is Psalm 91. It's a very powerful psalm. It's a psalm all about protection and about safety and about keeping you safe. But it starts off, "He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty." And verse 2, "I will say, the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, in God whom I trust." The word dwell means to remain, to sit, to stay. So when it says, "He who dwells in the shelter," it could be as easily as read, "He who rests in the shelter of the Almighty will find this." God's goal is for us to rest. It's not just a quick stop, "Hi, I'm going to see you later." It's not a Snapchat. It's a remaining. It's a sitting. How many of you know you don't need an hour to sit and rest with God, right? But the question are you giving the time just to him, right? When we try to do stuff in our own strength, a lot of times we end with this and we go, well, I'm gonna I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna try harder. I'll fix it. I can handle this. No, it's not on the right. There you go. I'll do better. When if we try to do it in our own strength, it just ends up working harder, trying harder. How many of you know the Christian life wasn't made to try harder? We weren't made to try to do more. The world says, hustle harder, go out there, earn your bread. Actually, you guys would call it cake. Earn your cake, right? Sure, fine. Dough, your dough. Get your dough. You can have your cake and eat it too if you work hard enough, right? You're gonna have your cake and eat it. Yeah, it makes sense, right? So what Jesus said, right? Jesus said something different. He said, "Come to me." Did I not put Matthew in? Okay, well, apparently I didn't put Matthew in. Matthew 11:28 says this: "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Jesus doesn't say try harder. He doesn't say do more. Instead, he says, "Come to me." Let me ask you guys this: If my when your phone hits 20%, do you freak out? Is there like a panic inside you? Just a little bit? Nobody? Okay, so I'm the only one who has like a slight. You do? You do? Awesome, right? What do you do? Okay, since you said yes, let me ask you this. What do you do when your phone hits 20%? What about when it hits 10%? Does anybody else? You freak out a little bit, right? Fair. So Dixie, you were the first one to respond. What do you do when your phone hits like 10%, 5%, it's dropping? What do you do? Do you push the screen buttons harder? Try to tap it more? No. You shake it more so that way it registers your movements? No. Do you yell louder into it and be like, "Hey, can you hear me now?" Is that what you do? No. What do you do? You call your friend until your phone dies, and then what do you do after your phone dies? Okay. Let's say your mom's like, "No, I'm not gonna let you use my work phone." What do you do? Okay, let's say she did. Let's say your mom wasn't around, so you just had your own phone. What do you do with your phone? You charge it, right? You plug it in. You connect it back to the power source, right? So if you're feeling a little bit drained, if you're feeling a little bit tired and you feel like there's never any rest for you, what do you do? How do you get better? Do you try harder? Do you work harder? Do you rest? Do you sit down with God and say, "I need a moment just to sit with you, God"? Resting isn't shutting your life down. It's stopping for a moment to plug back into the source. You see, the world says it's always so busy. And if you let it, the world will continuously add another thing and another thing and another one and another one and another, it'll just keep giving you more, right? You see, in fact, this all goes all the way back to the beginning. If you guys know anything about me, you know I like to take the verse series, the first sermon of every series, and I typically always go back to Genesis, right? So I'm going to talk about Genesis chapter 2. When God made the world in 7 days, what did he do? Do you guys remember the order of creation, right? First, he separated the light and the dark, and then oh my gosh, I'm going to get myself in trouble here because I'm about to misquote this. Okay, you say it. Come here. Okay, okay. Well, in that case, then, so day two, what did God do? Right? He separated the land and the sea. Day three, what did he do? He made the plants. Day four, he created the sun, moon, and the stars, which is great because he did that after the plants. Brilliant. Day five, he created all the fish and the birds. And day six, he created all the land animals, then made humans. And what did he do on day seven? Anybody remember? Right? So on the seventh day, he finished from all the work he had done and he rested from all the work. Verse 3. So God blessed the seventh day. He made it holy, which means to set it apart because God rested from his work. Now, let me ask you this. Was God tired? Was God like, "Oh, I've just been going all week. I need to pause. No? Was God like, man, I've been doing all this heavy lifting. I've been making creations, so I need a break. Did God need to go doom scroll on his phone for a little bit? No. So why did God take a rest? Did God need the rest? So why did he do it? He was giving an example. He said that we needed it. All right. Let me ask you guys this. Do you rest at the beginning or at the end? Let's play a little game. Everyone stand up. I'm gonna get everyone to stand up just because I want to get your attention again. All right. If you think there's two answers here. Do you rest before the work or after the work? If you think you rest before the work, come over here. And if you think you rest after all the work's done, you come over here. Well, go to your answer. Do you rest first or do you rest at the end? So this is if you rest first before the work, and this is if you rest after all the work's done. Okay, so everyone, it's pretty much unanimous. Hey, NCC, great. So everyone pretty much agrees you're supposed to rest after all the work's done, right? What if the work's never done? What if you have so much work to do that you can't stop? That's when the problems come. All right, everyone go sit down. I didn't give you a coffee break. Let's go sit down. All right. So here's this, right? I'm missing like multiple verses here. Okay, that's fine. Uh apparently I didn't get Mark 135 in. So Mark 135, it says this. Rising early in the morning while it was still dark, Jesus departed and went out to a desolate place where he prayed. Y'all like moved seats. You were up here and now you're back there. That's fine. It's fine. You can be a trendsetter. You could just stay where you're seated. I'm just gonna pick it on you. Anyway, so right, Jesus rested first. He woke up early in the morning and he rested. Now, am I saying that to be like, y'all are all wrong? Kind of, a little bit. Because I've struggled with this exact question myself for a while. Am I supposed to rest first or do I rest at the end when all the work's done? And it's like, well, what if they're both right? Because let's be real here. Sometimes you have a deadline and you got to get stuff done. But can I give you guys a real example? I was working on this sermon and I was working on it on Monday. And then I was working on it this morning. And there was a point where I was like, God, I feel like I need to do a lot more work on this sermon. And he's like, do you trust me? Do you trust me? I was like, yeah. And he goes, then you're done. And I said, but God, I don't know if I know this well enough. He goes, do you trust me? I said, yes, sir. He goes, then you're done. How many of you have ever had a really big test you had to study for? Anybody ever take like SAT, ASVAB, something fancy, any kind of tests at all? You've never taken tests in your life? Okay, you just don't study. Great. So everybody except for Otto, right? You ever had a big test you were studying for, and you're like, you know what? I should study for this test. And you start to study, and you start to do work, and then you get to the point where you're like, it's 9 o'clock at night. I have a big test in the morning. I've been studying for 6 hours. What do? Do you pull an all nighter until you feel comfortable with all the information? Or do you say, I'm going to trust that the studying that I did was sufficient? I'm going to go to sleep and I'm going to trust God. Because studies actually show you get a better return on your results, your tests. Y'all okay back there? Everyone okay? Okay, good. Glad everyone's okay. All right. So you do better on your tests when you get a full night's sleep. and you study less than when you study all night long, stay up till 3 a.m. in the morning studying, and then you don't get enough sleep, and then you're tired during the test. Does that make sense? Okay. Glad I'm making sense. I think yeah. So Jesus rested first from a place of identity. He woke up first thing in the morning and said, God, first thing I'm going to do before I even get into the busy, before I even get into the hustle, before anything comes at me today, I'm going to rest. And I kind of attribute it to this, right? If you're going to go out and cut down trees for a living, right? You need an axe, right? Let's say you have an axe. There was a story about two men. They were both woodcutters, and they were having a competition to see which one of them can cut down more trees, right? And and person number one, right? He got out there and he got his axe and he woke up at 8 a.m. in the morning. He's like, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna start chopping down trees. And he's going and he's going. And he looks around and guy number two is not even anywhere around. And they both said they were gonna start at 8. And he keeps going. It's 9 o'clock. He's chopping down trees. He's getting some progress. He's like, man, the other guy's nowhere around. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, noon comes around, and he finally sees the other guy coming out with his axe. He goes, man, he's like, I've been chopping trees for 4 hours. We're halfway through the day. You haven't even started. And he goes, it's cool. I got this. And so they started at noon. They they had a little break, and then they started chopping trees again, right? And guy number one's like, man, I've already chopped down so many trees. This guy's just starting. He's way behind. I'm gonna win, right? And at the end of the day, he pulls up and he's like, man, I chopped down 43 trees. And the guy's like, whoa, that's a lot. He goes, how many trees did you chop down? He goes, I got 62. He goes, how'd you get so many trees? And he goes, well, I spent like 4 hours sharpening my axe to make sure it was ready. And it only took like 2 swings per tree to knock down a tree because you just chopped right through them because you had a sharp axe. The other guy had a dull axe and his axe wasn't sharpened and he was tired and he was exhausted. You see the power between the two axes of, are you going to go into life with a sharp axe, a sharp weapon, or are you going to go in with something dull and try to hope that's good enough? Well, yeah, but this was before the time of chainsaws, okay? So you gotta go back. They were axe cutters with they were log cutters with axes, okay? I did specify that part. All right. So the point is, if you're gonna go into war, do you want a dull butter knife or do you want a sharp sword? Shh. See, everyone already knows the sharp sword is the one you want, right? Right? Sandra, can you bring me one of those Bibles back there? Let me ask you guys this. The Bible, it says it's a sword. It says the word of God is living and active. It's sharper than any double-edged sword. It's useful for dividing soul and spirit, joint and marrow. This is a weapon of our war. How many of you know you're in war right now? I'm not talking about war with Iran. I'm talking about we're in a spiritual war. Each and every one of you are in a battle. You've been drafted into the army, whether you know it or not. The question is, are you going to sharpen your sword? Are you going to get ready for your fight? Or are you just going to throw it aside and let it do whatever? Did you guys see that? No, it's actually a Bible, but it's in a protected case. I thought that was God's idea. But did you guys get the point? Because how many? Let me ask you this: how many of you every day? And I'm going to preach to myself right here, just because being clear. How many of you every day disrespect His word by first Let me scroll on my phone for a little bit first. I don't need that first. I'm gonna go to this first. I do. I'll be honest with you. I do. And don't be like, I read the Bible on my phone. That's not what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. How many of you every day disrespect the word of God by going to something else first? That was my point. That was where I was going with it. Jamie over here trying to cause some tea. So, how do I finish this now? Are you tired? Is anybody here tired? You feel overwhelmed by anything going on in life right now? I do at times. Are you trying to do life just by being stronger? Oh, wait. Because the truth is, guys, you don't have to. You don't have to do it in your own strength. Jesus said, "Come to me, all who are weak and weary, and I will give you rest." That's why we're doing an event on Friday where it's just a time for us to unplug, to disengage, to put down the distractions, and to actually sit and hear, what does God want to say to me? All right. I've got some, we're going to break up into small groups. I'm going to take the guys into the kids' church over there. And the girls, do y'all think you could fit on the couches? All right. I think all the girls can fit on the couches. We've got small group questions back there. So we're going to break up into small groups.